No.
Let's go chew the fat. So I'll do a wee intro. What's the crunchy dinner? What's that one?
I'm not sure if you know, but we use Mama Joe's.
Oh, you do? Mama Joe. This is one of my favourites. Combi, we came here to meet Anthony. I think many people, myself included, don't really want to accept death. I don't want to accept. I never want to accept it. My boy was born with a 1% survival chance. I didn't want to accept that.
How long did he?
He lived for 3 months.
Oh my God.
So I was actually thinking about that in a way. It's amazing because part of me was thinking I should put that in a book because there's many people out there with a similar experience. I know those high intensity wards are filled now, all around the country, all around the world.
Yeah.
They're busy. Every bed's full because everyone's going through their own thing.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, I was just reprocessing in my mind that if I ever go up to a stage to give a talk to someone and that's part of the conversation, I want to tell them the truth of how relieved I felt when I got to turn the machine off.
Oh, you did it yourself?
No, they recommended we do it just because the turmoil, the complete uncertainty, the 3 months of just every time, you know when your phone rings and it says private number?
Yes, yeah. That anxiety of...
When that phone always rang, it always was bad news for me. So it was and that's from that I developed anxiety because every time my phone rang and I was driving, I remember driving into a tunnel, that maybe 10 kilometres from his hospital, heading to work, trying to continue. Phone rang, and once again they said, "You stop breathing again." But I've managed to resuscitate. So entering the tunnel, get the phone call, I can't escape. The tunnel's 7 kilometres, I got to go 7 k's that way. And then really when you think about it now, it's like 10 years, 12 years down the line, it's like, even if I could have escaped, what would I have achieved? But I never realised how those continue. Before you 2 in the morning, he stopped breathing again. Oh, don't worry, he's back breathing again. And I thought, do you need to tell me this stuff?
Yeah.
Do I really need to know? Sometimes I think you know fucking too much.
Yeah. Do you, was he, had he ever been conscious from the time?
Yeah. No, we've got some pictures and we put them away because it was just, it was quite confronting. Not for me, I didn't mind talking about it because that was my way of dealing with it. But Sally always, you know those Russian dolls?
Yes, yeah.
Sally says she puts lock in that very wee Russian doll. And the funny thing was when my mother died, my sister Caroline, who was probably closest to my mother, she went to see a psychic, a spiritualist, because she wanted to know whether she felt a little bit maybe she could have done more for my mother in her later days, but I think she did as much. My mother got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma A and B. She got the most aggressive form of any lymphoma. It's 2% of the world's population. Many lymphomas can be treated and are curable, but her one was just, and she was, by the time they addressed it, she had went from like maybe, let's say, 60 kilos to 35. So she was like a little frame. 74, 75-year-old, smoked her entire life. Probably didn't eat the best stuff, but she made sure we ate well as a family, but she always sacrificed herself. So my sister went to go and see this spiritualist, and the woman was saying to her, she was said to her many things. My sister called me up and then she said, Caroline says, "I've got a message from you, from Mum, do you want to hear it?" And I said, yes. She said a few things. Number one, she went, "Mum wants you to bring out Lockie's pictures and stop hiding them."
Wow.
She says she wants you to bring them out and show them to the kids, make them aware that he has a brother. And then she said she wants you and Sally to spend more time for yourselves. She went, because you're ever fucking looking after everyone else, making sure all the staff and everything. She said, you haven't been for a holiday, you haven't done any of these things. And that was 2 things that my mother had always said to me in her day-to-day, because my mother also lost a child. But I had a sister, there was 5 of us. She looked at me. And so those are straight away. I went into the cupboard and I got all those pictures and I brought them out and I gave them to the kids, because some of them are him. There was days where he was fine. But so if you imagine that's lungs when you're born, he had about that. So when they scanned him on the thing, he just amassed in his lung. which is very normal, but not the size he had.
No.
Because lungs are cystic, and then it becomes lungs, whatever. So they said, he's got a 1% survival chance. I said, well, I said, for me, that's a chance.
Yeah.
So we went through everything possible because it was too late to terminate.
Yeah.
And termination was never a thing in our mind because he was a baby. He was 19 weeks at diagnosis.
Wow.
And so we went through the whole process. He was born at 28. And then we fucking lived this shit situation for fucking 3 months. And it was just a lot. I'm looking at pictures of myself as like a gaunt stick. Stopped eating, drank lots of coffee, tea. You're trying to live a normal life.
Yeah.
Sally's trying to express milk, do all these things. But just the situation.
And how long ago was this?
Oh, so he was the first, so Olivia's 10, so he would have been 12 years ago.
Wow.
12 years. First child. You know, when you read all those nice books that say, you're peeking through this now at 19, and you're peeking through that now at 19 fucking weeks. Well, there should be another book that says, this is what you might go through, this is a
possibility, that's right. I mean, it's a fear. I mean, as you know, I've got 5 children, and that's been a fear with all 5. Of something happening to them in those early years. Absolute fear. And Penny doesn't have it. Penny doesn't have that anxiety, but I'll wake up 10 times during the night and just hold Lola and make sure that she's breathing.
That's it. I lick my finger, I put it under the nose to see if I can feel the breath.
Yeah.
I do that. Sally goes straight to bed.
Yeah.
I go around the house, check them all. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just a man thing.
Well, I don't know, but it's a... there is a fear, but you want the very best for them, and if because you've experienced,
I don't want to lose them.
A son, no. My God, losing a son, your first son, that's.
I mean, when he died, the nurse said, "Do you want an imprint of his feet?" And I'm going to get that as a tattoo, but I'm going to remove some of his toes and put all the other girls' fingerprints on it. So I'm going to get that done as a tattoo. But the funny thing is, when people talk about like spirituality, I don't believe in religion.
No.
That's my belief, because if religion was true, some of the good people that I've seen in my life go would never have gone, and some of the bastards shouldn't be fucking gone. But I do believe in a spirit. Call it a Holy Ghost, call it whatever you want to call it. And when both Sally's sister and my eldest sister Wendy, who lives in Glasgow, they've experienced some issues in their first marriages. I think they went to get a spiritual person, and this happened within 3 months of each other. One was in Canada, one was in Glasgow. I got a phone call from my sister that said I went to see a spiritualist, and she told me something about Lockie. So when I walked in there, she said, "There's a boy behind you on your left shoulder." She went, "His name's Lachlan or Lockie. Have you got a brother in Australia?" She went, "Yeah." She said, "He just wants to let me know that he's fine and he's flying with angels." I didn't tell Sally that, because at that time she was still more raw from it than me. And then when I eventually did get the courage to tell Sally, she says, "Michelle called me with the same message from Canada when she went to go and get some therapy about her first marriage and where's her life going, whatever." Same thing. And I found that quite human. I laughed. I thought, the little fucker's flying between Glasgow and Canada and doesn't want to be here. So I kind of tried to find humour in that, because how else do you process it?
Exactly. And he probably wasn't able to. Well, I think you've got to be in that state of being able to accept that, because what I believe is that each of us have got a mind and we've got a body, flesh. But as soon as we die, but we've got to have our spirit. That's the strongest part. So that's that soul. That's that knowingness. You know that. And the way I explain it is, you're driving down the road and something says, not your brain, but something says, turn left. But your brain overrides it and says, no, I always go straight ahead or right. But if you listen to that and you turn left, suddenly, oh my God, there's that seated chest of drawers that I wanted to buy, and somebody's put it out on the sidewalk to take away, that sort of scenario. So, and because we, on this whole planet, we're all spiritually connected, so we're all one. So I'm you are me, we're kind of all spiritually one, and different religions talk about it as the Holy Ghost or whatever it might be. So that when we die, our brain just all that data goes to dust, and our body goes to dust, but the spirit is there. So because you're so raw from Lockie's death, he probably wasn't able to actually even get through to you guys. I mean, there was to communicate that through your sisters. What an amazing thing. You know,
But I do believe he's always here.
oh yeah,
I feel that sometimes I talk to him.
yeah.
Talk to my mother as well. I still believe she's here. Well, that's what I think. Dogs can sense these things. Cats can sense these things. One of the things my mother did say to you, she went through this psychic. She said, "Your mother wants you to put a little chime in the house, somewhere where the wind won't get it. She went, and when that dings, you know she's there."
Wow. Have you done that?
No, yet, no. And she also described she wants us to find this ring. She told us where it was.
Yeah.
That's my mother's wedding ring. It fell off and rolled under the bed. So it was very descriptive. Some of this stuff, some of these people.
I love that. I think it's so good. I mean, because Lola was born after both my parents had died, and I desperately wanted, and they were such great grandparents. You know, they had 22 grandchildren, half a dozen great grandchildren. They were just people that were just awesome grandparents.
That's a good Catholic family, that one.
Yeah, yeah, no, not Methodist actually.
No, was it not?
Yeah, but
Someone must have jumped ship.
But I lay on the bed with Lola, and this sometimes happens, but it's happened twice, where I'm lying on the bed, she's dozing off to sleep, and I can see Mum and Dad at the door, and Mum would be peering in with a big smile, and Dad would be hovering at the background, and I say, "It's okay, come in. This is Lola," you know. And I'd talk to Lola. Lola, didn't know what else. She just thought I was telling her
The story.
the story, and just had that conversation as though they were there in the room. Now I told my sons, I couldn't physically see them, but I knew that they were there, and I knew the mannerisms of, and then Mum would suffer a bit of anxiety, and she'd, "Oh, look, we better go, Tony, Lola needs to go to sleep," and suddenly they just disappeared. It's happened twice, and so and it gives you that really lovely, doesn't it? Just makes you feel
I just don't believe people go.
No.
I just think you don't get to see them.
yeah,
You
that's
don't
right.
see it, but you get to see them here,
Yeah.
or you get to feel them.
Yeah, their body goes,
Yeah.
but that's how was the when you had the funeral for Lockie, was that a
I'm never into that sort of thing. Birthdays, Christmases, fucking death, weddings. I was never into that at all. And I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah.
Because the closure, the process and the grieving, because I didn't know how to grieve. I didn't know what grieving was.
Yeah.
So to be able to cry unrestricted and just fucking flowing with
Flow, yeah,
tears,
Oh.
it was such a, but one thing they didn't explain to me was when he passed away, he held him and he passed away, and he's still a hot little baby.
Yeah.
The next time I got to feel him, it was like hitting a fucking frozen chicken in the head. No one prepared me for that.
No, it's a real shock, isn't it?
He was solid, like a fucking, and I thought, wow, that's shocking. It's like, I shouldn't have done that.
No. Because it really is, you're holding death then, aren't you? Not holding a living.
He's gone.
Yeah. It's that's why I don't think I went to see my father body, but it's not a nice thing. They're all being
I don't like
beautified.
seeing bodies.
No. Well, because there's nothing. Even their physical presence isn't the same as what you remember. So it's probably best not to.
When my mother passed away, when we went up, they said, "Oh, do you want to have one last viewing?" And part of me was like, "Should you?" And I went, no, because the mother I remember is not the mother that passed away. It's a disease that fucking took it away. But the mother I remember is here in my head, very different. That's some of my phones. But I think that was I'm impressed that you embraced the death of your parents and captured it in a way that I would never have done,
No.
and probably many people would never have done. So it is something you got. And later on in life, when I like the fact that you said there was no sound, because you can actually add in your own stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
have a bit of humour with it. I'm thinking like a Benny Hill soundtrack. Then you could add your own speech to it.
I think we might do that.
Dub it in.
I need
get
to
the kids to dub them
get
in.
your audio sound visual man to do that for
No,
me.
he is available for bar mitzvahs, weddings and funerals.
Wow, this melts quickly, doesn't
I
it?
know.
Because I wondered this on the way here, because I was thinking about your son, because Penny had told me that you'd lost your son, and I always wondered whether his name was Joe, Farmer Joe's. But now I don't have to ask, because you've already told me that his
It
name
was spelled Lachlan, so L-O-C-H. It's a Scottish one. But no, Lachlan. When you're in a situation like that and there's no way out, you just can accept it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. There's no way out of it.
Yeah.
And this doctor, is it an obstetrician? Is that like a baby doctor? Can't remember.
Yeah.
Like a baby doctor. They were trying to help us understand, because in those places they bring in the psychologist, the social worker, they say, we can help you through this. So I'm a bit resilient. I just want to fucking deal with myself, as a Sally. And I don't like that, you know, that voice, the concerned voice everyone gives you. Oh, don't do that with me, because I don't fucking want to hear it.
Yeah.
I can deal with this. Just tell me what it is.
Yeah. Explain it to me that I can then process it my own way. Yeah.
And he said, look, I'm going to tell you the easiest way, son. He says, to have a perfect child, there's like 1 billion connections that have to take place. 1 billion, maybe 2 billion. He goes, so to get a perfect child is a fucking miracle, number one. He goes, but if one of those things go out of place, he said, and what you've experienced is because when Lockie died, so when he was born, took samples of all these things. They got, maybe this is a cancer, maybe this is this, and they came back and they said, genetically, he's perfect. There is nothing wrong with this child, nothing at all. It's just when one thing was connecting that said lungs do this, it maybe connected backwards. And this is happening. So you've just been very, 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 very unlucky, and it's like a 1 in a billion chance, and it's not genetic, and it's not doesn't pass down the line, whatever it is. They say, so it's just a fucking shit situation. Because before that, one of the other things that the lady was explaining, miscarriages.
Yes,
so when someone thinks they're pregnant, whatever. And I remember she was telling us, she said, you know when you stick a postage stamp on something? She went, if there's not enough stick, it's going to fall off.
Exactly, yeah.
And I thought, that makes it simple. I don't need to read a big book for that. I get that. Extra
you can
glue.
relate to that. Exactly, that's right,
I get it sticks on and it works. Because many people go through that sort of situation. My brother went through that situation. Many of my friends go through that situation. And I think when you start to talk to people, you're like, fuck, I'm not alone.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Everyone's going through this fucking stuff.
Everyone has a story, don't they? Everyone has a story that moulds them. And I think standing when you're serving customers, and somebody comes up with a different attitude or whatever, you've got to go, hang on, they've got a story. You know, they're reacting to whatever story is within them. You know, not everyone can be joyful and enthusiastic and, you know, wonderful. And people might have lost a family member or they might have just heard some bad news. So yeah, everyone has a story. So we're not
the untold stories.
Exactly. And I think that's where I often have to remind myself, and I'm not perfect at it, is that we are all connected. So we all should be sharing and supporting each other. Not this, but there's a real. We live in a competitive world, don't we? You know, I want to have
this
what.
Is mine.
Yeah, that's
mine.
right. Yeah,
Mine.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't like that.
He's
Do you think that's a middle class thing?
Yes, definitely has to be.
I never felt that when I grew up in Glasgow, in a real kind of lower working class area. We were all kind of equal.
Yeah.
I call myself. We were kind of the poor working class. We were kind of upmarket poor because we had a caravan. We had a caravan. Actually, we had 2 caravans.
Wow.
So we had a bit more than most.
Yeah.
But not much more than many.
Many, yeah.
But we all lived in council houses. So everyone had a level of equality. We all went to the same shops. There was very few cars on the street, and if there were old cars.
And the caravans were folded on? Yeah.
Yeah, so one we had a static one, so it was like a big long one that was stuck in a place called Berwick upon Tweed. Another one you put in the back of your car.
Fantastic.
And that was like our escapism.
Yeah.
And as I've made I'm now 42 years old in Australia, and I'm always telling Sally I'm working class. I keep telling her that, and I know I'm not because I'm fucking having an acai number one. I'm sitting in a $55,000 car that belongs to the bank. But these are things that I would never have experienced in my childhood growing up.
Yeah.
But we would have. I think this Instagram and all this new stuff on everyone's this image-driven stuff. I got to have more. I used to say to Sally when I want my own business, I was such a fucking egotistical cunt. Don't say cunt. Sally says can't say cunt on the podcast. I need to score that one out. But such an egotistical man, young man. And I was like, I used to have a posh car. I used to have a nice big Audi A6 black. I thought next I'm going to get a Maserati because I was like, this is to the doubt. Everyone that doubted me, I'm going to tell. And then as I got older and put my ego in the box, I thought, I don't want to pass that message on.
No.
I want to pass the message of love, compassion, support, help. I did this, and I'm just a kid from Glasgow. You can do it too.
Yeah.
And it's delivering feeding anger.
Yeah.
Put the anger aside, or took the anger and channeled it to be much more positive. Because it's a good energy source. But just putting things in a box, and then goes back to that whole middle classness. I need this. I got
Yes,
that.
yeah.
I want this. This is my life.
yeah.
I've got to have that house. Got to send my kids to that school. I've got to tell everyone about it. And I've got to go to those holidays. Fuck.
But what's
I don't
missing in that class is happiness and joy and compassion and kindness. It's because it's so much about the material, and it's when they get to the end of their life, they're going, my God, this material stuff is worthless. Who was saying? Somebody was saying they've got this big climate conference on at the moment, and somebody was saying, but it's pointless. You know, all this wealth that we are, like, look at our government. They're wanting to just earn all this money from the coal, so they can burn the coal, they can create more stuff, blah 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 blah. But the fact is that what are we going to do with this money when there's no planet to live on? You know, we're just going to watch it burn and go, oh, that was a nice fire. There's a senselessness to it, isn't there?
Greed.
Yeah, greed. That's it. Yeah.
A culture of greed.
Yeah.
When you look at some of these very wealthy people, all they want to do is give it away. When they've got so much money, all they want to do is help. And so I was watching Inside Warren Buffett, or Bill Gates' head.
Yeah.
And Warren Buffett donated like $4 billion or $5 billion to Bill Gates to help him to try and get compostable toilets and all that sort of stuff for Africa and sanitation. I mean, fucking hell, $4 billion. Just because he can. I mean, I remember reading the story. It says, when you're on your deathbed, you'll never lie there and think, oh fuck, I wish I spent more time at the office.
Yeah, never.
These are not the thoughts that will pass through your head.
No,
And that's you got to kind of grasp this. Kind of grasp your life and shake off the shit, and remember the stuff you loved doing as a kid, and start doing more. That's what I mean. It's like, I'm doing what I'm doing as a kid and now commercialising it. I'm just a curious little guy who likes talking to people or connecting them.
Yeah, and that's a
sales.
marvelous, that's a wonderful. That's one of your wonderful assets, because somewhere in our growth we forget that little kid and we go on this search, and it's probably the ego that we're trying to build or whatever. But if we can get back to being a little kid, if we can be back to what our kids are doing, you know, why can't we drive around with a bucket with a whole case of toys when we get to our appointment? You know, I love little matchbox cars. You know,
I love them.
Why don't I carry those with me? I mean, you know, you'd say
such a treat.
Yeah, exactly.
You can escape and go.
Exactly.
Nowadays on the bloody thing, it's like those simple things of just. You could call that meditation. You're just thinking of nothing else but play with that little car,
So true.
or mindfulness, whatever they call it. Just focus on it. And I think we just got to cut back the shit.
Yeah. Oh.
So much baggage that we all walk around with. The promotion, the new job, the promotion, the new job, the holiday, the house, the promotion, the second house. Get more debt. The government needs more debt.
Yeah.
Get more debt. Hang on, you've got equity in that house. Use that to get another house. Why?
Yeah.
So you can just keep fucking taxing it?
Yeah. Exactly.
So you can take all my what is it to call it, capital gains?
Yeah.
Or you try and get ahead, but hang on, that's a fringe benefit tax. Christ, so I just got to keep working. I was saying to some people the other day, our commodity is 24 hours in a day. That's what we're all equal in that space. The people who have that are the unemployed.
Yeah.
They've already got the freedoms. But they've only got it because we're working.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make sense to me. So why am I giving up my time to work, to try and find the freedom, so you're taking half of my money and giving it to
feed it
someone to do fuck all?
But do you think they're not happy? Yeah, I think.
Well, I came from a situation like that. I just think, I don't know if they're happy, just that they've accepted that's what it is. The systems let them accept.
There's a sense of apathy, isn't there? I love doing what I do because I've been able to get to a stage where I can have the freedom to do this. But I would be, imagine if I didn't have the business or didn't have, and I was just at home sitting around watching telly, watching the midday movies, I would be so bored. I think you've got to have a project, you've got to have something, you've got to be, I mean, we're all artists, aren't we?
If you look back to your small, so what were you up to as a little kid? What was a 10-year-old version of you up to?
I used to go on these massive bike, we used to live in the middle of Australia, or almost in the middle of Australia. I'd go on these massive bike rides, I'd pack a whole picnic hamper and just, I used to love being by myself. You know, and just ride to the loneliest place and just scan the horizon and draw. I used to love drawing, so I used to do a lot of sketching. And I'd come home at the end of the day with a sketch pad with a number of different sketches. To me, that was so much fun because I didn't have to deal with anybody else's rubbish. That was me, you know. So my imagination, I had the enthusiastic imagination that didn't matter where you were, you could be anywhere you wanted to be. You know. And so I try to get back to that state now. Yeah. What about yourself?
I used to live on a boat. Because we were naughty kids in Glasgow, we were always up to mischief. And I met this guy. Because we lived in a poor area, they used to get sent to these homes, not like a Boston, but like they were residential schools.
Yeah.
Not because you paid for them, because you were highlighted for somebody who could maybe benefit from getting locked up for 8 weeks. It was one of the best things ever because they used to take you to the beach.
Yeah.
I was 8, 9 or 10, whatever.
Yeah.
And you used to get sent to all these places in the country, and then one of the places I got sent to was this place called Clinder, which is just, I don't know, 40 minutes south of Glasgow. But I ended up meeting this guy who ran this boat company. Helped him pull his boat and helped him do stuff. Eventually, I used to help him clean his boats and clean all the fishing guts off or whatever, and I ended up living on his boat. So I ended up living on his boat for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
I think I was about 11 or 12. Yeah, I just lived on this boat. Every day I had Nescafe Gold Blend, 2 sugars of milk, digestive biscuits, cream cakes, and beans on toast. But I was the happiest, and I was lived by myself.
At 11?
Yeah.
Wow. And what about your mum and dad?
My dad, he left us. So I lived on those boats for like maybe 18 weeks at a time, and then I would need to go back to Glasgow to go back to school, whatever. And I would come back. I'd come back at the weekend, come back again. But I did it. And then after that, after he sold the boat, I went and lived above his garage because he was a mechanic. He's always fixing stuff. So I used to love tinkering and taking stuff, welding and stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Just keep it away. I always thought if I keep away from Glasgow, I'll keep out of trouble.
Yeah.
And I was never a bad person, but I was very when it's there, you're bored.
Yeah.
So I loved that was my escapism. But I used to always sit in school, and I used to always be the kid that would made to be sit alone because the teacher said I was disruptive. I remember one day I overheard her telling one of the other teachers her car had been nicked. And I was primary 7, so I was maybe 10 years old, and I could see the secretary walking up from way down the hall, but with a walk of purpose, not just a normal walk. I just turned to the teacher and I said, "They found your car." She said, "What?" I said, "They found your car." And she stood up and the teacher came in and heard them whispering, and she turned to me and she went, "You will do good to mind your own business." And as I reflect on that as an older person, I just read the situation.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand human interaction. I sense an indifference. Why don't you say that's great observation?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, you fucking do. You mind your own business, and it's the punishment, more punishment, because
rather than nurturing that skill, they wanted to sort of knock it. Yeah.
Another one. I had this other teacher talking about her house was cold and she thinks she might get central heating. I said, "My dad does that." So I told my old man, he called her, he got the job.
Oh, fantastic.
I got 10 quid out of it. So it's very much, when I look back to some of the stuff I did, it's no different to what I'm doing now.
Yeah. You read a situation, you see a situation, which is a really good quality. It's an amazing quality to have, because some people go around with blinkers on, don't they? They're either just driven on their ego and what is important to them, rather than what's happening in the environment. And there's so many opportunities out there. There's a million opportunities.
I love the ones where people just you see people who take like a street mess and make it something.
Yes.
Or like upcycle stuff.
Yes.
What's that phrase they use? Someone's
trash is somebody's treasure. Yeah. And it's so true. I used to do that when my first family were young, just to earn an extra quid. You know, I'd find the street stuff and I'd take it home and spend hours sanding it down, repolishing it, timber stuff, and you'd be able to make that extra few dollars just to pay the mortgage that week. You know, and then
give it a new lease of life.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Any questions for Anthony, Dylan?
That was beautiful.
Dylan's always got a couple of questions.
No, I really liked it. It's funny how you guys were talking about like happiness and how it's not like ego or that shiny car. I literally did a post on that this morning. So
did you?
It was funny you guys like were talking about it.
Right.
And yeah, I filmed a little snippet of it. But it'd be cool to know, like, was there any moments when you were doing the business where you're like, what am I doing? Or like, what's your whole mission with it? Do you have a mission with it? Or
our business, I don't know whether we have a mission. Our mission is to be self-employed, really, you know, to be able to be in control of what we do with our day, not to be controlled by somebody else's vision, but to have our own vision, I suppose. But I don't put a lot of thought into that. I just, I'm not a very good employee.
Yeah.
So as a lot of my past employers have told me, you're a terrible person to employ. Yeah, because I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to be more creative than what they had allowed in whatever it was that we were doing at the time. I did a lot of work in the arts, so I used to run major events and work with a lot of musos and bands, and even that became restricted because sometimes the band couldn't see the potential of what they actually had. So you think, well, okay, I'm just going to invest all my enthusiasm into something that I can create.
Yeah.
And do it that way. But sometimes your ego does get. I think you got to have an ego, because an ego is healthy. But you can't allow that ego to override your spiritual knowingness.
Exactly.
You know, as soon as it does, then you're stuffed.
Yeah, and you got to check in with it every so often.
And I used to, and I like cars, so I'd buy an old car, and my ego would come out when I drove around the streets for one day, and then I would put it away. And I reflect on my mother. Said my father was although he was a minister of religion, his passion was art. He was an amazing artist. And I said to him when he was dying, Dad, what would you have done if you could have had your life over? He said, I would have become a Buddhist, not a Methodist. I would probably say I'm agnostic, which means that what he was teaching from the pulpit is not what he really believed. And he probably would have just done his artwork. Yeah. So it's you look back at your life, and I mean, I'm in my early 60s, so I kind of might have another 30 years if I'm lucky, but I want to do the things that I want to do. I want to create things. But at the moment I'm having such a blast being a father again. You know what it's like, that sort of lying down in a beanbag with my daughter watching Wiggles is...
Everybody wiggle.
So like has I guess what you drive is like freedom, so then you can do those things when you were younger, like go out and go to the hinterland, like go for big treks and stuff like
exactly.
that.
Yeah. Just be able to do or just enjoy life rather than having to chase anything.
It's funny, it's like sometimes it's like I think what you're saying is, correct me if I'm wrong here, is like working to get the freedom is to choose. If you choose to have it, then I will. But if I'm not going to. Because
that's right.
9 times out of 10, I don't exercise my freedoms, but it's nice to know I earned them.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
If me and Sally choose to just, I don't know, if I can go for a beach walk today, we can.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. You're not having to be anywhere at any particular time, which is a really lovely thing. And I think, and I said to the staff, I get quite annoyed if I go into the business now because I see so many things that are not the way that I would do them, but they're doing the very best that they can do. So I've got to just take a back seat and go, that's my expectation. But we employ managers who hopefully have our philosophy and then manage the staff. So I try to stay out of the business during the day. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Yeah.
What would be one thing that you wish you knew at, like, let's say 20?
Oh, become a landlord. I think then you would have but I don't know many landlords that are happy people.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest, but I think I was never brought up with the idea of investing money in real estate. It was all about and I've been lucky enough to own a few houses, but it's only because I'd married somebody at the time who came from a family who were very interested in actually having property. I don't care if I've got to live in a rented house for the next... I'd be quite happy to live in a caravan.
Yeah.
Really.
I like to be free.
Yeah.
I like that level of freedom.
It's such a lovely, not having a bank, unless you've got a big pocket of money that you can get hold of that you don't need to owe back to anybody, then you can buy a piece of land. But simplicity. I think the older you get, you go, I just want a bit more simplicity.
Yeah.
And not to carry all the... I used to love collecting things. I used to have sheds filled with stuff. And my current partner Penny, she likes to just get rid of stuff. I went to get on an old T-shirt to do some painting yesterday. They've all been thrown out because they had holes in them. I said, they're my painting T-shirts, but I would collect those things and have them for a day. But she's going, you don't wear them, they're in the bin. Oh.
So I can't paint?
I did paint, but I painted in a really good shirt. And then I got told off for painting in a good shirt.
In Byron Bay, I get quite inspired by all these people that just live in vans.
Oh yeah, isn't it amazing?
They've got the surfboard, they've got the little cooker set up, mattress. I think it's just totally...
It is.
I've never seen that in my life before, as a permanent way to live.
No, that's right. Well, we've had staff here, and we still have staff who will arrive at work and how was your night's sleep? Oh yeah, we parked the van down here, and it was great, or it wasn't such a good night's sleep because the wind was howling through the roof racks. But they come to work really. They jump in the ocean, have a bit of a surf. Oh, hello, sorry, this has just fallen over. That reminds me of a story. When I managed bands, I toured a band from Adelaide around the eastern states, and we were stopped in at a couple of universities in Melbourne. And the band was out in the dressing room doing whatever they do before they go on stage. And the sound guy said, "Oh, Anthony, can you just go up and just check to make sure the microphones are working?" And so I went up to the microphone, and I thought I had a fairly deep voice, but when I went to the microphone, it was test 1, 2. Anyway, the lead singer came out and said, "Get off the stage! That's embarrassing." He said, and then he gave me a few lessons of how to talk into the microphone, so those deep tones came through. Yeah. But I could see all the people sitting, the uni students sitting at the tables going, "My God, this is embarrassing."
The new band, the new lead. One of the questions we like to ask people is, was it Dylan? Tell us one thing that no one knows that you do.
Yeah, like a weird little habit or something you usually like to keep to yourself.
A weird habit that I like to keep to myself that I want to.
It's a little bit embarrassing. You don't know if everyone else does it.
I've got a million. I'm trying to think whether I want to share any of them. A little habit that I do that I'd like to share with the world.
Might be that you go down to the beach for naked swims by yourself.
Oh yeah. A lot of people comment on. I will always greet the morning with, "Hey, it's a beautiful day," and I do that daily, whether I'm feeling it's a beautiful day, but it doesn't matter. I try to share that joy of, isn't it a beautiful? And people often will refer to the weather. But it's raining. No, hang on, I'm not referring to the weather. I'm referring to, aren't we so lucky to be alive and to be actually here? I'm in that transaction of, I'm making you a coffee. You come into my kitchen, as in the cafe. You've come into my kitchen. You've asked for a coffee. I'm going to make one for you. There's that transaction. There's that sort of that human.
Albert Einstein said people are as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Yeah, exactly, that's right.
Irrespective of an overcast day or the rainy day or whatever.
So true.
You can change it, but you got to change it.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I'm about the same. Even if I'm having a shit day, I try and always say positive stuff because it's so easy to be the opposite. Yeah. It's very easy to be fucking miserable.
And what's that great quote? Change the way you see things and things change. And it's that's probably a quirky thing that I do every day, many times a day. I'll repeat that to myself. Change the way you see things. So I'll be driving, and you become a bit competitive when I'm behind the wheel, because I don't ever sense that the person driving the other cars are humans. I look at their car and I'll judge the driver by the car that they're driving. So if it's a really low slung 80s Commodore with Queensland registration plates, I'll think they're drug dealers coming down to distribute drugs. So there might be an old couple in there that they've never upgraded their car. So I've got to continually remind myself, specifically when I'm driving, change the way you see things and things change. So see joy in the people, and that they're humans driving that car. It's not a driverless car, and don't judge. Don't judge what people wear or drive or have as to who they are, because some of the nicest people I've met in Byron are the people that live on the streets. There's a guy by the name of Les, and he would walk in the morning. I'd see him walking with this big rolled out, what do they call it, swag, and going somewhere. And I stopped him one day and I said, "Les, where do you come from to go with that swag?" He said, "I've got a post office box," and he said at about 10 o'clock everyone's collected their mail, and I just go into the post office here, and there's a nice big air conditioned during summer and heated during winter corridor. So I just find the corner, lay down my swag. He said, almost never does anyone come in and check their mail after 10 o'clock. He said all the other street people are sit under verandas and stuff, and he said at about 5 o'clock I roll it up and I get out of there. And I hide it over here at the bowling club. I said, that's fantastic. And I was suddenly going, this guy's not silly, he's got a post office, so he gets his mail. Anyway, I hadn't seen him for a few weeks, and I said, saw him, and I said, Les, I haven't seen you. What's going on? Oh, I got my superannuation payout, so I bought myself a car. And now he drives around to different locations. But they're people that
Does it have Queensland plates?
No. But I think they're you know, I get joy from interacting with those people, because I see those people as the custodians of this town. You know, those that walk the streets, you know, not those that are off their face and just totally, but a lot of them have mental illness, but they have a sense of ownership of, you know, of our town, which is good.
What age is Les? What age would he be? Super, he must be, was it 65?
Oh, he'd be 60, 65. He worked for the council for a while, and he comes from Canberra. I think he's somewhere back in his history, he worked for the government, because he's not silly, you know, but there's some mental handicap there that's happened, whether it be trauma or drugs. I offer him a coffee, but he says no, he only drinks rum. So it might be that he's had an addiction.
I remember when I lived in London, I'd never really seen homeless before in Glasgow, but when I went to London, it was getting.
Isn't that funny? Why wouldn't you see homeless anywhere?
Maybe I never seen it. Maybe it was never in my face to see it. I never, but I'm sure it exists, but I never seen it.
Yeah.
When I went to London, and would get the bus along the big street that runs along the Thames. I can't remember it, but there were all these doorways, and I would work in nightclubs, so I would get the bus home 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning, and I always remember this one guy sitting there he looked like a banker. You know those little, when you have the little half-rimmed glasses, gold rims, on the end of your nose, and the chain. He's lying in the doorway on papers, kind of shaved, grey-haired guy, and reading like a double spread, so like a proper paper.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that doesn't fucking look normal.
Yeah.
Why is that guy? Why is he homeless?
Yeah.
That was my question as an 18, 19-year-old kid. Because the other guy, he looks homeless because he's dirty and he's scruffy. He's like, why is that guy homeless? I thought, wow, that's that image always stuck with me.
Yes, yeah.
Homeless can be
whoever,
whatever they've experienced.
Any of us could be homeless, couldn't we? I mean, if any of us, unless we've got a running tap of finances coming from some other source. I mean, you know, if suddenly, what about some of these people, these businesses that have been annihilated with the bushfires and stuff? I mean, no government grant's going to get them back on there, or people have lost their house and haven't had them insured.
I think that's a real, I don't know the word, maybe catastrophe or something. Yeah. Catastrophe for them personally.
Yes.
And the communities. But where do you start again? And do you really want to start in that same place again? I know you live there and that's where you're from, but if that happened once, surely it could happen twice in that area.
It's so devastating, absolutely devastating. I think the devastation is far beyond what we can understand unless you've actually been in that situation.
It's a shit situation.
Yeah.
Then I think of people who we experience it maybe yearly. When you think of those countries that are getting bombed every day.
Oh yeah, I know, yeah.
And then they come here and they're smiling. I thought, fucking no wonder you're smiling.
I got a customer, and I realised it was time for me to step away from serving customers, but this girl came in Melbourne, and she came up and she wanted an acai smoothie, and I said, we don't do acai smoothies, but I can do an acai bowl for you. And she looked as though the whole world had actually just ended for her, and she said, so you're not going to serve me an acai? I've just said that we don't do them, so no, but we can do an acai bowl. And this anger was building up inside of her. And I said, and by the way, I'm not going to serve you whatever you want because I don't like your energy. And she said, you effing, you know. And I said, listen, you've got to be lucky that you're not stuck under a bridge being shot at in Iraq or somewhere like that, in some war-torn country. You know, you've come here, we haven't had exactly what you want, but we've offered you an
it's
alternative.
Close to.
Yeah. And she huffed and yelled and screamed off. She went, I thought, oh my God, what is wrong with her? Now, she obviously had a story. There was something obviously going on in her life. She came back the next day and apologised. But it was just that sort of, you kind of think, where do people, they don't actually understand. They live. I think some people live in such a sheltered, privileged, demanding, it's all about me.
They're precious. When you said that, that made me think of something. Because she came out the next day and she said, "Can I have an acai smoothie again?" And she went, "Oh, just kidding." But it made me think of this video my kids watch. It's a duck that goes to a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
A duck goes to a lemonade stand. He goes, "Hey," to something, and he says to the guy, he says, so he sells lemonade, and they say, the duck says, "Have you got any paper?" And the guy goes, "No, it's a lemonade stand." And the next day the duck goes back. says the same thing. Have you got any paper? The guy says, it's a lemonade stand. Next day the duck goes back. Hey, yeah, any paper? It's a lemonade stand. And the guy says to the duck, if you come back here tomorrow and ask for the piece of paper, I'm going to staple the piece of paper to your bloody beak. Next day the duck comes back. The duck says to the guy, any staples? And the guy goes, no. He goes, any paper? Mate, that was lovely.